Good morning. I'm Chancellor Jeff Vitter, and I'd like to welcome everyone in attendance today and also those of you watching around the country. Today is an exciting day for the Ole Miss family. First, let me thank and congratulate our athletics director, Ross Bjork, for his outstanding work. Since August, Ross has worked tirelessly, scouring the country for the best football coach for the Ole Miss Rebels, and he has found him in Coach Matt Luke. Coach Luke's passion for the game, and more importantly, his passion for recruiting and developing young men in a university setting are truly exceptional. And when you combine those passions with a proven ability to win, you have a very special football coach. This entire season, Coach Luke has demonstrated tremendous leadership in focusing, inspiring, and unifying this football program. And as a native Mississippian and lifelong Ole Miss Rebel, his loyalty and dedication to this institution are extraordinary. It's my pleasure now to invite Ross Bjork to come up and talk about this extensive search and also to introduce our next and new head football coach, Matt Luke. Ross.
Thanks, Chancellor Bitter. Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor Bitter, and for everyone gathering here today and also watching online. And to those media here in the front, if you texted me or called me, sorry I didn't call you back yesterday. Today's a new day. Today provides a new beginning, a fresh perspective, and new energy for Ole Miss football. As I indicated earlier this fall, the month of November and early December would be a defining window of time for our football program. Important aspects of the program would be crystallized and stabilized so that we can move forward in a positive manner. Before we talk about Coach Luke, I need to speak directly to the Ole Miss family and our Rebel Nation. The Ole Miss family has been through a lot. It's impossible to quantify exactly how much angst and uncertainty that our NCAA case has impacted our fans, let alone a coaching change in July. As the Vice Chancellor for Athletics, I take extreme ownership of everything that happens in our program, good and bad. I'm sorry that our great university and the Ole Miss family has endured so much. This is a first step towards moving forward, and the next step is one day closer. Over the past few years, I'm not sure there's a single group of student athletes who have been through what our players in our locker room have experienced. However, the leadership that they displayed will inspire all of us for years to come. As hard as it has been, they have created a bond that will last forever. They never quit when that was expected. They kept fighting because they love each other and they love Ole Miss. They showed us leadership that we can all learn from. As the season progressed, everyone kept asking, when is this team going to quit? When is this team going to throw in the towel? They never did. They actually played their best football after the Arkansas game, a time where it would have been easy to lay down. And there's only one person that can instill that type of perseverance, effort, and hope in a group of young men that had every reason to quit, and that is a head coach. From the Monday after we made our change in July, I've been very consistent in our approach to this search process. It was our obligation to conduct a national search while also assessing the job of Matt Luke throughout the season. We compete in the SEC. We compete on a national stage. We are a relevant program that is poised to bounce back and compete at the highest level. Our goal is to win championships. We search for a head coach that's a proven winner, someone who understands how to run a program in all phases, academics, X's and O's, player development, compliance, a CEO head coach, someone who could establish a program identity. Who are we? What do we stand for? What do we play for? Someone who's a recruiting machine, and finally, a leader of men. I set out to find that person. Over the last few weeks, I was all over the country and had extensive conversations with 8 candidates. I had great dialogue with these coaches, and I learned there is great interest in Ole Miss football. Our search firm, Turnkey Search, I want to thank Gene DiFilippo for the work that he did, met with and had extensive conversations with other candidates as well. The interest in this job was significant. We can win here. And make no mistake about it, the Ole Miss football brand is powerful. The announcement of a new head coach brings excitement and can breathe life into a team and fan base. I realize that the easy decision was to hire someone new, bring in a splash hire, a big name, if you will. In reality, the hard decision was to drill down, assess our program, what it needs, be strategic, and hire the right coach. In the final analysis, Matt Luke is the best person, the best leader, and the best coach, and here is why. After hearing plans from other coaches, Coach Luke has the best plan for success. He will evaluate our current program and make the necessary changes. He will bring accountability, structure, and continue to change the culture in our program. His tough-minded, no-nonsense attitude, his blue-collar approach, his nonstop, year-round work ethic is exactly what we need for our program. Coach Luke improved our team from last year despite only having 1 week to prepare for the job. The players believe in him, envision with a full offseason to recruit, make the right adjustments. We can see that his plan will translate to success. Coach Luke has been a common denominator for some of the most successful times for Ole Miss football. As a player, he helped establish a winning program. As an assistant coach, he has been here when Ole Miss football competed at a high level. Coach Luke has helped rebuild programs at Tennessee and Duke. He knows the necessary ingredients of winning football. He knows what it looks like and what it feels like. Coach Luke has the respect of coaches and players from all over the country. He has been part of the best offenses in Ole Miss football history, including this past season, and the numbers speak for themselves. His tough-minded approach will continue to influence our defense. Despite our challenges on defense, our team stepped up in key moments and made the right stops to help us finish strong this season. Coach Luke fit our criteria. He knows the game, he knows recruiting, he knows how to lead, he knows how to motivate. He's demonstrated in a tough environment that he can rally a team, a program, a university when we needed him the most. A neat historical connection. The last Ole Miss coach to go from line coach to head coach, I think worked out pretty well. Coach Johnny Vaught won 190 games during his career, and we are trying to meet. I got it, don't worry. And we're trying to meet his standard every day. No pressure, Coach. Absolutely. And finally, the reaction from the team at the meeting last night says it all. Players now and players in the future want to play for Coach Luke. He's the right coach for Ole Miss football. Please welcome Ole Miss Rebels head coach Matt Luke.
I want to start out by thanking Chancellor Vitter, Ross. Thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it, and thanks for the comparison to Coach Vaught. To my wife Ashley and my son Harrison and Cooper, I appreciate your sacrifice. With me never being at home, I appreciate everything. To Mom and Dad, I wouldn't be here without you. Thank you. To my players, y'all are the reason I'm standing here today. I've never been more proud of a team. I've been part of a team with better records, but never been more proud of a team that continued to fight and compete. To my staff, I got a lot of credit this year of holding this team together. But the staff that was here in this building did an unbelievable job. And when this team finished, they were better than when they started. And to me, that's good coaching. And that's a credit to the staff that was in this building. I believe it's well documented, and everybody knows that Ole Miss is my dream job. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows how much I love Ole Miss and how my family is entrenched at Ole Miss. But that's not the reason that I wanted to be hired here. I wanted to be hired here because I was the right man for the job. I've been playing and coaching at this level for 20 years. I've been under some of the best head coaches in this country, and I fully understand what a championship program looks like. These last 4 months have been an unbelievable experience. I've seen the culture of this team start to change. I've seen these kids, under the face of adversity at every corner, come together. So I'm looking forward to having a full off season to implement my vision for this program. The hard-nosed, blue-collar, tough mindset that nobody cares who gets the credit. We're in this thing together, and we're a team. And that hard work, it starts today. It starts right now. This is just the beginning. My staff is already on the road recruiting. This is the first week of contact. And that hard work starts today in recruiting. Recruiting is the lifeblood of any program. Y'all know that. And I'm looking forward to sharing this blue-collar, hard-working vision with the players of this country and of this state. Ole Miss is a special place because of its people. I've been recruiting to Ole Miss for a long time, and I understand what it takes to bring the caliber athlete here to take us to the next level. I'd like to leave you with this. I'm born and raised in Mississippi. I'm proud to be a Mississippian. I'm proud to be born and raised in this state. I'm proud to be Mississippi made. Ole Miss is a destination job. It's not just my dream job, it's a destination job. And I am truly honored to be the head coach of the University of Mississippi. Thank you.
Ross, when did it hit you that this was the guy? I mean, I know he's had a 4-month interview, but somewhere in here when you're interviewing 8 other guys, something had to distinguish it, and when was that?
The plan all along, and again, back to consistency in the process, is we would do our research. We would scour the country, and I told Coach Luke maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, that on the Friday after the Egg Bowl that we need to sit down. I need to hear his plan, how he would run the program. And so that was the plan, to talk to him all along. Regardless of how we finished, didn't matter. The record didn't matter. I wanted to hear his plan. And so we had set that up. So we got together Friday afternoon for about 3 hours. And then we got together again on Saturday morning, and then the chancellor and I met with him Sunday afternoon, and we both looked at each other and said, he's the guy. Let's get it done. So it progressed over the weekend.
Matt, obviously your first introduction was kind of under strange circumstances. What, this time, getting the permanent job, how is this different? How does your role change? Does it change at all? I mean, what's just kind of different about the feel of this?
Well, I think the biggest thing is it is and always remains about our players. And that's what I told those guys last night. And the reason it's different is because now it's a 30-year plan. It's it's a program plan. It's not just, hey, I'm trying to motivate these guys for this season. It's a plan for the long haul, and I think that's where it's different.
Matt, you talked about some coaches are on the road recruiting. Are there going to be staff changes, and if so, when do you expect to make those, or what's the situation as it sits?
I think one of the things in this 4-month period you learn as a head coach is you're always evaluating. You're always looking to see what makes your program better. I can tell you that I'm very happy with the way the staff performed and the way we finished the season and how we got better, and I'm very pleased with that. But I'm going to evaluate everything in this program from top to bottom, from recruiting to coaching to the academics. Everything in this program I'm going to evaluate and make the decisions I deem necessary that are best for this program.
A question for Ross. Ross, can you talk about the NCAA sanctions and how that impacted the search, and maybe what kind of feedback relative to that you heard from other candidates?
Yeah. As we indicated, this is an SEC program. We compete at the highest level. We have resources. You're sitting in the best team meeting room in the country. People wanted this job. Of course, they had questions. I was able to lay out our self-imposed penalties. I was able to compare that to the penalty matrix and say, hey, we thought we imposed what we think is meaningful, impactful sanctions, but we don't know what the outcome is. We don't have the crystal ball. We don't know the timeline exactly. But people still wanted this job regardless. And then we looked at, do we need to have some contingencies around contracts? If it's this scenario, it could be this contract. If it's this scenario, it could be that contract. And so that part did not impact us in the final analysis. We had people that wanted this job and high-level interest from a lot of sitting head coaches. So, if we would have got down to crunch time, would somebody have said no? Perhaps. But we got the right guy.
Matt, did you, when you met with Ross and the Chancellor, did you talk about maybe different tiers or different plans regarding the NCAA in the future? This program could look completely different pending sanctions.
I talked about my vision for this program, and to me, changing this culture, the NCAA is not going to affect that. We've been through a lot of adversity, and we're going to come through this no matter what. But it's going to take hard work. It's going to take discipline, toughness, but again, us going through what we went through this year, the kids understand what it's going to take to get there. And again, this was just the start. It's just the beginning. And I think you saw the culture change toward the end of the season. And to me, with a full off season, that's where I think we could continue to build on that process.
Matt, you've been here for 6 years. You've been the interim head coach for 5 months now. I guess, what do you see that needs changing in this program?
I think the biggest thing, I think you start to see that culture change. And as our interim coach, really you're motivating the kids. But as the permanent head coach, things are going to be different. This is the way it's going to be. And I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Is a full. You had 2 weeks in July 20. You had 2 weeks to get ready for. That's hard to get the culture. Where the real change happens is in the off season. It's through recruiting and building depth. It's through the off season, the weight room, and just in changing the culture, day by day, week by week. And I think that's the blue collar mentality that you'll see this off season, and the culture will continue to change.
Matt, how much did these 12 games, just simply from an in-game perspective, help you feel better prepared for this?
I mean, there's no teacher like experience, and I've been around this game and in this league for a long, long time, and I've seen head coaches do it the right way. I've seen head coaches do it the wrong way. But I think the biggest challenge for me was to be myself and see how I learn. But there's no question that there is no teacher-like experience.
Now that you are, the interim tag is off, what is the message in recruiting, and how are you handling questions that you're receiving from recruits about the NCAA?
Well, I think the best part for me is Ole Miss. Ole Miss sells itself, and there's people that want to be at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is special because of the people that are here and the family atmosphere. So I think people want to come here, and I think they will. I think there is some uncertainty, and they are waiting to see what happens. But there is a lot of interest, and we're going to be right there either way. And, with this, we only have 12 seniors in this senior class. So we only have 14 to 17 scholarships based on attrition for this class. So we're going to be fine in this class.
This is for Ross. How much in your coaching search, the early signing period and all that, how much did that weigh on your mind that you needed somebody in quickly to, keep the momentum going, I guess?
Well, the fortunate thing about our search is we had a big window, so we could get really a jump start on the market shifting, and we, I think a lot of people predicted this. That you'd see a lot more coaching conversations taking place in the month of November because of the early signing period. Does that mean you make a rush hire? No. You make the right hire. So I think our window in the last couple of weeks led us to evaluate the right coaches that were out there, talk to a lot of people, and then I wanted to try to move as fast as we could as soon as the season was over because of signing day, because, hey, we are in an unknown situation, but stability can help that. Long-term approach can help whatever uncertainty might exist. So putting that together now was very, very important, and we did a lot of work the last 2 to 3 weeks.
Matt, the 10th coach, is that immediate? Can you do that immediately?
Yeah, it's coming up here pretty soon. It's not immediate right now,
Right.
but it is.
What
coming
side
up.
of the ball will you try to shore up? And also, it seems to be in vogue these days to have a bunch of analysts hanging around.
Right.
Are you gonna get into that game?
Well, I think a part of my evaluating this whole program, it revolves around the analyst and what position you're putting place. But my plan is to use the 5th coach on defense. Right now we have 5 coaches on offense, 4 on defense, so it makes sense. I think Coach McGriff did a really good job with the discipline of the defensive side of the ball and the effort. And obviously you can recruit to Coach McGriff, and he's a dynamic recruiter, and kids will want to play for him. But to be able to bring in another guy on that side of the ball just to help those guys, I think will only strengthen our staff.
Chuck, we've already got all the analyst people. Don't you see all these people walking around the building? We need more. Huh? We need more?
Matt, recruiting strategy-wise, we saw the last staff have a national approach. You really iterated about Mississippi. Are we going to see more of an emphasis inside the state?
Well, absolutely. It always starts with your home state. That's where it starts. Now, I think because of the Ole Miss brand being stronger now than ever, I mean, we can go into a lot of places that maybe we couldn't before. You'll go a lot of different places now and see Ole Miss shirts that you wouldn't do that before. But it does all start with Mississippi. That's where it starts, and then we branch out from there.
Coach, obviously you've only got 1 year of head coaching experience. What do you think you bring to the table and do so well that makes the players latch on to you, because clearly they all love you?
The biggest thing going into this role that I kept asking everybody, hey, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And everybody, didn't matter who I asked, they said, hey, Matt, just be yourself. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just being myself. And from the very beginning of this on July 20th to right now, I've held true to that, and I've been myself. Now, the beauty of it is I have been raised under a lot of good head coaches, and I have a lot of great experience, and I've tried to take the best from every single person I've been around, put that in with my love for Ole Miss, and you kind of have your own coaching style.
Ross, I'm gonna keep spending your money. Matt, is there a plan for more people in recruiting and more people in compliance, more people in academics? Is that part of your plan, or Ross, you can answer that as well?
What Coach and I have talked about is obviously that we have 10 coaches, we have a salary pool for all of that, but we will reevaluate what do we need? What is the recruiting plan in that operation? How many analysts do we specifically need for the program. So I think we have a good number right now, but are they in the right spaces, right? And so he's going to evaluate all that. If we need to add 2 more, or maybe we need to take 2 away and put them somewhere else, So we're going to evaluate all those things. We have 22 people in our academic support, student athlete development area. That's a really darn good ratio for the number of student athletes that we have. We have 8 compliance coordinators, high-level people. So I think we have the right resources in a lot of the key areas, and then football specific, he'll be able to restructure on what he sees to be best for the program.
We'll take questions from the media up top.
Question for Ross. After the Egg Bowl, we heard a lot of the players come out in support of Matt Luke. How big of an impact, obviously, with the signing or the early window you had in the coaching search, how much of an impact did the players' input go into the coaching decision?
Here's the thing about the players. First of all, we're here because of student athletes, period. They're the beginning and the end. And so that's why we do what we do, is because of our student athletes. Here's my perspective on the players. I was in after every win or loss, I was in the locker room. I know how they felt. I was in here last night when I'm kind of underselling it a little bit, and I see the look on their face like, oh, who's walking through that door? But you know what? It's not about what they say. It's about what they did. And it's about what they did that shows I want a coach who players want to play for. So that was their impact. All of them could have called me. But it's not about what they say, it's about what they did. And that's more meaningful than anything.
All right, any more questions from media down down low?
There's a big elephant in the room, Ross. I'll kick him in the butt.
Okay.
Do you know anything about the NCAA?
Where's the crystal ball? We don't. We're prepared. We're ready. We're on go whenever we might get our final report, and we'll deal with it. We've hit this thing head on every single time. We've taken responsibility where needed. We fought back where we needed to. Obviously, we're ready to get this over with. No one's more ready than myself and now Coach Luke and Chancellor Vitter. So we're ready, we're prepared, but we have no idea when and what might be coming.
It's for Ross. This brand has changed a lot over the last 20 years. It's also very damaged right now in terms of perception. You've been beaten up for months. What about Matt's experience knowing the school, the institution, and the state, and just the brand itself? Did that factor in when you talked about how do we rebuild and how do we move forward in 2018 and beyond and begin to just regenerate the brand?
You know, the things that make the brand special are still here. We still have a hospitable feel. We still have the Grove. We still have the Square. Roanoke sits right over the hill, right? And so all those things that make Ole Miss special, the people, you know what, those things are not going anywhere. What Matt provides is no nonsense. He's going to keep his head down. He's going to work, and he's going to do it the right way. That's going to help the brand more than anything, is that we're going to get this football program back on track. We know the marketing value. We know what College Game Day provides when they're here on campus. We know SEC Nation. Those things are going to come back because we're going to win, because he's going to put in the work. So that's when the brand will get back, is when we start doing it with a hard work, no nonsense, keep our head down, stay focused, and recruit. You got to have players, and we know that. And then you have to compete and win, and that's when the brand will get back. But we're going to start working today. We're going to start selling season tickets. We're going to get after it from a marketing perspective, and we're going to rebuild that brand because we know the special things that are still here.
This question is from Matt. Are you worried about the NCAA sanctions, the worst case scenario? What does that change the future of this program in your mind? And I know it's a lot of questions in a row, but have any players indicated that they're thinking about transferring if it is that worst case scenario with a bowl ban?
No, we haven't. Nobody has come to me with anything about transferring, but I think you always are thinking about it and having contingency plans. That that's my job as the head coach, is to have different plans. But again, I go back to the difference is going to be hard work, and with everything that these kids have gone through, it's another thing. That's why you saw the shirts that had the good mentality. Hey, it's just one more thing. We're going to be better because of this. We're going to fight through this, and all the things that went through, I think it brought our team closer together. I think that's why you saw them play the way they did down the stretch, because all the adversity brought them closer together. And we will continue to do everything we can and fight and scratch and claw to fight our way out of this, and we will come out of it. And I think that's one of the beauties of Ole Miss, is how tight the Ole Miss family is. And as long as we stick together and we are all pushing in the same direction, we will come out of this.
Matt, where do you feel you need to improve as a coach from year 1 to year 2?
Yeah, I think you always say that your biggest improvement is from game 1 to game 2. I'm looking forward to having a full off season to implement my vision. But obviously just the end game decisions, and the first time there is no teacher like experience, and it was just a lot of valuable learning lessons for me in year 1, and I'll be able to learn from that and improve. Just like everything is under evaluation. I get a chance to evaluate everything and improve every area of this program. That's what I'm looking forward to doing in a full off season.
I don't know if there's a head coach in the country that has as much experience with people who've held this job before him, with Tuberville, with Freeze, with Cutcliffe. What was your correspondence with them like during this process?
Good. I spent a lot of time talking with Coach Cut. Tuberville actually had us for a game, so I got a chance to visit with him. I asked them for advice, but again, it all went back to them. Hey, Matt, just be yourself. Hey, Matt, just be yourself. It's good enough. You're ready. You've been doing this for 20 years. You're ready. And so I appreciated them, telling me that, and that's what I've tried to do. And obviously, I've learned from those guys what worked, what didn't work, and I've tried to take the best of each person, like I said before, and mold it into your own coaching style.
Matt, as of right now, as head coach, what's your next step?
Recruiting.
Yeah.
It's right now, like as soon as I leave.
Yeah.
Along those lines, there obviously is a coaching change in Starkville. Do you think that opens up any sort of opportunity for you guys?
I'm not going to worry about. I'm going to worry about us. We got enough things that we can continue to work on and get better. But I'm gonna. I'm from here, and I have a lot of ties here. I've been recruiting in Mississippi for over 20 years, and so I'm looking forward to get out and recruit in the state. But I'm not going to worry about. I'm going to worry about us.
Ross, as you were making the decision going through the process, there were a lot of openings in the SEC. Did that affect not necessarily your decision-making, but talking about recruiting the early signing period? You now have a solidified head coach in place, whereas there's much uncertainty across the league this morning.
I think there's no question. If you have the right plan, the right approach, you're organized, on the front end. Obviously, we had more time than others did, and then you identify the right person. Then I think you have to go because of the signing period, because of the uncertainty, the market changes. There's a lot of jobs that are probably going to be open, even more so because of domino effects or whatever. So getting somebody solidified so these guys can go out. Really last night they were all on the road and have conversation that Matt Luke is the coach, I think was very, very important. So now we have, 3 weeks before that signing day, so we can sign the right players.
For Matt, you mentioned seeing head coaches do things the right way, do things the wrong way. What does that mean to you? What have you learned about what you want to do, what you don't want to do?
Well, I just think that you in your experiences, you see, hey, I saw this guy do this, I really like that, or I saw him do this, that doesn't work, But one thing, for instance, in 2003, we getting ready for Alabama, we had a hard stretch, so Coach Cutcliffe took the pads off the guys all week, and we played really well in that game and ended up winning. So that was an experience I drew from this year, and we had a tough loss, so we did that in the last game getting ready for Mississippi State. We didn't put pads on one time, so that's just one example of a thing that you see that you really like, and you just draw from those past experiences.
Matt, you've been recruiting for a long time, obviously, in this state. How important is it to have the relationship you do with the current players so they can assist and put out the good word for you across the state too?
Yeah, there's no question that your players, especially when you get guys on campus, are your best recruiters, because they tell each other the truth. They do. And recruiting is all about relationships. It's about having that, and especially with the way recruiting goes nowadays. I mean, you start recruiting at a very, very early time to try to start building that relationship and having your players really believe it. You can tell when somebody really believes something. And when our players are happy here and the families come here and they see that our players are happy, it will definitely pay dividends in recruiting. There's no question.
Chancellor, you look lonely up there, so I'm gonna ask you a question. When did the light bulb?
Is there a question about our strategic plan? Is that what you're getting at?
When did the light bulb for Matt come on for you?
Well, when Matt first started in July, I really saw kind of the beginning of a culture change. But I just waited throughout the season and to see the players come around, as well as just an amazing outpouring of support from alumni across our Ole Miss family was pretty impressive. And the fact ultimately that the players really stuck in there and won at the end and really came back and never gave up is a huge sign that this coach is pretty special.
Hey, Matt, not to drop another news bomb on you, but it appears Jimbo Fisher just took the A&M job. But kind of along those lines, do you feel prepared to, coach against the best coaches in the profession? You kind of relish that opportunity.
I do, and I think what makes a really good coach obviously is experience, but also hard work and a good plan. And I've been involved in this league at this level for over 20 years, and had a chance to see what it's like. From Philip Fulmer and David Cutcliffe, and you get to see what really, really good head coaches do, and so I think I'm prepared and obviously hungry and willing to put in the time and the effort and the work that it's going to take to outcompete. Because we're competing in the best conference in America, and and I'm excited about that opportunity.